Okay. All right.
Think I'm too
How
close
you
to
are
the
doing?
camera.
Yep.
Good. How everything is fine. Thank you. How about you all? Good.
Busy, very busy. Occupied.
Dr. Ray, I hear you threatening minors over there.
Yeah, these guys, man, I don't know why they can't get along with I don't know why they can't get along. 24/7 at each other's throats. But
Siblings, siblings.
can't stay away from each other, but always want to fight with one another.
Yeah, well, that's siblings. You know that. I think Sabrina's there. It looked like I saw Sabrina.
She
Oh,
was, and then
Yasmin is there.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
see. Yes.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening, Roy.
evening.
All right. Who would like to go first? We are live so people can watch it later as well.
we are. It is we like, we are. I guess
Guess you
this is our
guys can
first.
start first. Because
Yeah, I'll
Khadijah's
start.
not here, right? She's not here.
Right. I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
Um, First, I think I did read or listen. I didn't read as I was great going
To,
through these search.
I think,
Can you hear me?
all right. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I was thinking I will just probably sit in front of the router because I don't know why it's breaking in. I mean, it's breaking.
Everyone else hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I think the book so far, the
Up.
first 12 chapters, very from a it's well written from an entertaining standpoint. Um, However, I think it's poorly. I wish the author was did a little bit more research about certain things. Um, I think um, that's why I got into this mode of calling it historical fiction, which is not, and I was duly corrected by um, Yasmin.
You're welcome.
But yeah, as I listened to the first 12 chapters yesterday, I was like, all right, man, I wish they would have did a little bit of research. Um, because even though it's a science fiction, it is based on, contemporary times and recent history or history of the last couple decades. So, um,
Is there
I
anything in
think
particular that you found was wrong or which had
well,
been expounded? Like you wanted it expounded more or the information was incorrect?
I think there was an in-depth kind of back in-depth context of why. I mean, I know why, but it's a lot of assuming why people feel the way they do. Um, I think the premise of I think one of the things that the author should have dealt with is this idea of if all the white people just one day up and mysteriously um, killed themselves, was it only in America? Was it in Canada? Like they didn't really go into that because, even if it was worldwide, globally, there's one big hole in this whole story, and that would be once the rest of the world found out that all the white folk in America were dead, they would invade America. It would have been an invasion. It would be a complete invasion. Like within 24 hours, you would have South America invaded. You would have, uh, other non, I guess, your Caucasian countries invade en masse America and just divide America up in pieces. So I thought that was a major flaw. Um, I didn't like it, this whole premise of the mother being raped or saying accusing the father of raping her, but then it seemed to me, and maybe I'm off base with this, but why, if that was the case, why didn't she abort? Was it Sydney? Why didn't she
Yeah.
abort? Why didn't she abort Sydney? I don't know why I'm horrible with names.
Well,
Go ahead.
she didn't say she was raped. It was the brother. Her brother is the one that said it, and she just kind of like went along with it because they were just so upset and mad that she
Right.
just didn't have enough courage to defend Charlie.
Right. So under that premise, you still have the baby?
Well, I'm
Wouldn't the,
hoping we'll get
would
to
you know what I mean?
why
Wouldn't
she
the brothers say,
kept.
yeah, wouldn't the brothers say, hey, look, you gotta abort this baby? Wouldn't there be pressure if they were so racist?
Yeah, but maybe they couldn't
Or
afford it.
no, they had money. They
Yeah,
had
they
money.
had money. I'm hoping it'll come out later why she kept
Or
the
maybe
baby or
she
how
didn't,
she was able to keep it.
or maybe she didn't start showing until it was too late to do anything.
Um, and
That's
then,
possible.
and my only other beef is with this so far is, and I'm conflicted because I think also the author is actually trying to make a point. So maybe I shouldn't have a beef with it until I read a little bit deeper. But the Marxist and socialist overtones, uh, or undertones, or however you want to look at it, I never, that doesn't kind of fancy me. But it's entertaining. I'm definitely looking forward to. I wanted to continue to listen last night,
Me
but I
too.
stopped. So that's my take so far.
Just a
Yeah.
question. This question is for Dr. Ray. Where did you find the audio?
Audible.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, Audible.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it just seems it's just it's almost reading like a Tubi movie at times. Like, and then the and then like the other part is like this
Some of
is
those are pretty good.
say that again.
I said, but some of those are pretty good. Like
Every
you said,
once
it
in a
is
while
entertaining. It's entertaining.
it's entertaining for sure. Like the other part I didn't really get is in modern times, because this is a contemporary piece. Like white women are not, like, juries are not convicting white, like that doesn't really happen anymore. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's not like a thing anymore. Like Southern white women are having relationships in the South, like mulatto kids in the South. But what I do find interesting is the stance that um is it Sydney takes.
Sydney's the daughter. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I do find that interesting, the stance that Sydney takes. Like she picks her side, right? She's like she's not doing the Carblasian thing. What did Tiger Woods say? Carblasian. What was it? He's Carblasian or something like this. Like she's not. She's like she's picking a side, and that is that is different from what you normally see in these pieces, especially with um, mixed race. Normally, the mixed race child tries to take on a more neutral stance, but Sydney is taking on the strong stance that, hey, look,
But she might
it
have
also
taken it because the dad left, or what she assumed was abandoned her. So that
no,
might be the
absolutely
reason she's taking
no,
that stand.
absolutely, but she's taking a stance nevertheless. Less, it reminds me of the movie Queen with Halle Berry. You guys remember that Queen? And uh, and then what was the other one? What's the other famous one? I'm a white woman now. Um,
The Imitation of Life?
The Imitation of Life. Imitation of Life. It kind of gives you that uh kind of feeling.
Do we ever
I
get
was
the sense of
I
how
was
Sydney's presenting? Is she presenting mixed? Is she presenting white? Is she
Oh
presenting
no, we do.
black?
That's chapter
Because I didn't get
10.
a sense of what she looked like.
No, so chapter 10, I think it was
His,
chapter 10. Chapter 10, she goes into that she's different because her moms keep on calling her
Yes.
special.
Yes. That's special. I
I
remember
think
that.
that was in
So
chapter
see that
4, 3, 4. That was
yeah,
kind of early
Yeah,
on.
I remember
four.
being
yeah,
special.
I
yeah.
thought it was
Many
That,
times
I
she
but
thought
told,
that was later.
I
and
I
many
couldn't
thought she
get
times
had
she
how she
told
was
that
presenting though.
her
Okay.
her color of
she has
the
curly hair,
hair.
curly
Yeah,
Yeah.
hair.
she has a curly, but the blonde hair, but curly, and she has a wider nose and
Wide lip, big lips, wide
lips.
nose.
Lip,
Yep.
she has lips that the boys don't want to kiss or something like this. She has lips the boys don't
Yeah.
want to kiss.
And I think the stepfather or somebody would tell her to straighten her hair.
Yeah,
If
Mhm.
I'm,
when
if
Yeah,
he
I'm
that
was
she
remembering
looks
ironing.
more
correctly.
sophisticated
She looked
She
or
pretty.
looks more
elegant or something like
sophisticated if
that.
she straightens her hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there is a movie also on that. I mean, there is a movie as well. I was trying to figure out or find out the audio. And also, I came across some clip from the writer that he was telling and answering Ray's question that um, the white race was wiped out or went dead was only in America,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what
So
he
if that
answered.
was the case, if that was the case, like within days, the country would be invaded and taken over
Yep.
by another group of
So
white
that's
people.
a,
So,
I mean, that's what you call it. Though it's a fictional story, but it's a realistic flaw.
but here's another point that the author is making, though, that I found interesting as I listened to the book was that the country could not run the same and could not run as properly with educated blacks, and not just blacks, but Asians, because it's not just Asians are still alive, right? Hispanics. It's like the authors kind of. I wonder. I would love to hear the author's point of view on why the country totally went to hell because the
Here,
whites died. Do you guys feel like if
Well,
all white people
she
died, the country
she
would go to
I
hell?
didn't
she
get that
did.
the country went to hell though. I didn't get
No,
that.
it
Yeah,
did.
it
Oh, it
didn't go
did.
to hell. And the
Yeah,
author, and it was
it went to hell.
specifically said that some of the things did not continue as it was because black people didn't have enough input to begin with. So they couldn't continue because they didn't have enough input to keep the systems in place or keep it going.
But that the issue here is that there's other people in the country except white and black, right? So you have Asians, you have Hispanics, so you have other people, right? So what about those people who are just as knowledgeable, right? Indians from India, Pakistanis. So you have all these other people who we brought them here to keep the country going. So if all the white people died or killed themselves, the country still should be able to continue to run fairly smoothly. So I thought that was a major flaw in the book. And the reality is, yes, en masse, a lot of black people may not know how to do these things, but there are also a lot of black people that know how to do these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it's
there's
not
a
like
lot of
all.
black people who know how to do
Yeah,
these
nowadays,
things.
especially, I'm talking about past 50s, 1950s past.
I mean,
Things have changed a lot.
and I think that's what irked me is that the author kind of capitulates, right? And fails to realize how how much African Americans have contribute in innovation, not just by being, but in innovation, right?
Yeah.
We contribute it like from Benjamin Banneker, like we have major innovations, Garrett Morgan, Lewis Latimer. We have major
Even in
innovations
NASA,
and
lots of
all these
ladies, even the
in NASA.
calculations.
So this idea that the country would just go to hell.
You remember a
What
lady with,
what
she
year
just,
was
but
this? Was this
it
supposed to
didn't go to
be now?
hell. It's just disjointed. It's not.
Was
It
this
didn't go to hell.
Yeah,
It's just
I'm
yeah?
with
Was
Yasmin.
this supposed
I
to be
didn't
now, or was
No,
this supposed
no,
to be back? Was this supposed to
no.
be
This is now. This is current.
now.
okay? So
This is
yeah,
present day now.
I definitely agree that even though it's fiction and it's like a, sci-fi type of thing, that part she didn't, yeah. Is it a
Would you
woman
like
that
to
wrote this
listen to a
book?
few minutes of that writer? And he explains those things in the first like five
It's a
minutes.
man that wrote
Yeah,
the
man.
book?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can, if you want, I can share it.
Okay. You have,
Let me,
did I give you rights to share?
no,
Did I
chat.
give you, hold on a sec.
Oh, Sabrina said she's restarting her device because she can't hear.
All right. Okay, go ahead now.
And I have to share the sound. Where is that?
King honors. Last year, he won the Margaret A. Edwards Award for his significant and lasting love story.
I will just forward it. These are the right. This is the right.
What's up, DC? Thank you guys for having
What's
us.
up?
Thank you, thank
On
you.
the right.
How are you? Every time I see you, like, you
Campbell.
remember? What's up, everybody? Y'all all right? Hope this wasn't going to be a quiet night because we have a guest from out of town. And don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass us. This is the brother Sibo Campbell. I hope, has anyone heard about the book? Or is this just, okay, so everyone's heard about the book and you still decided to show up like brave human beings. We're going to start with, in the most traditional way, how these things go. And Sibo's going to give us a bit of a reading and then we'll jump in.
I will just skip the reading.
So let me preface this by saying, well, one, raise your hand if you know what this book is about. Good, that's beautiful. This book was an extraordinarily difficult book for me. Sorry, this was an extraordinarily difficult book for me to write, but it was a harder book to talk about. I work in a space where I'm often in a room pitching clients for, $100,000 jobs. I'm sitting across from people who are billionaires. In most cases, they're older white men, super nice people, but they would come to me and they would go, "Sibo, listen, I heard you wrote this book. What's it about?" And you do not know how I'll freeze up. It's hard to say. But I learned in the process of writing it that that's what it was all about. It was about saying the hard stuff, saying it no matter what, saying it whenever my heart did freeze up. And then I learned very quickly that was only half of the thing. The other half is we also need to listen. And you guys being here right now means that somebody's listening. And so I thank you guys for being here. Thank you for lending me your ear. I'm going to read you just a little bit of this book, just the opening. I think the opening, when I'm asked which parts to read, is always tough because there's so many parts of this book that I think resonate. This book set in DC originally, and so there's so many parts telling DC that I wanted to read. But I think because this is my second book stop of my entire tour, that I'll just read it from the beginning. And so I hope you guys like it. They killed themselves.
Stop taking meeting notes and let ClickUp AI Note Taker do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings, not your notes.
The time on was Titanic on this earth at all after thousands in town.
I'm just trying to skip this because
Where
it's
all the
just
oceans
reading
went
for
from
a few minutes. And no.
awful at teaching his students
main thing.
unexpected. It's
You just ask him a question, he'd do the rest for you, right?
yeah. Bewildered and bewildered.
It's so funny. I mean, the book's not funny with me, but it's funny for this book to be set here.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, imagine if any of y'all who live in Bethesda is like, could you imagine? Come outside and everybody look just like you in Bethesda. This will be a conversation. It'll be some discourse. So Sibo's one of these guys that you love to do this kind of thing with because he doesn't require, it's like you just ask him a question, he'd do the rest for you, right? So my first question is just about how, like where does and I know the answer, but I think it's such an interesting story. Where does the impetus to make something like this come from?
It's certainly an internal one. I think there's a lot of reasons. I think the core is just being a black man in the United States. You move through the world with what feels like something around you at all times, like something that you're rubbing up against, and you can't quantify it, you can't push it back. At times, it becomes the lens through which you see the world. Me personally, I wanted to write love stories. I wanted to write romantic comedies. I just couldn't imagine the characters. When I tried to picture them, and I would picture these well-rounded, interesting people who were artists, and they had their mischief that we loved and all of it. When I tried to imagine them with the rules of the world as I understood it, it fell apart. And so I thought that was something traumatic that I was going through as a person who was trying to create these characters. And when I started to analyze that, it was very quickly like, oh, there's something in my way. And the minute that I moved it, I was like, Toni Morrison always says, she'd write beyond the white gaze. And I thought, well, let me just take it, move it. As soon as I did, all those characters I pictured, they had a completely different life, had a completely different way of operating in this reality. I tell everyone this story, and my publisher tells me I shouldn't tell the story anymore, but I'm going to tell you guys anyway. I made this story because of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The truth is I was watching this film. I was living in New York City, and I was really struggling because New York City is crazy. And whenever I have a hard time, I watch 90s movies. That's just my move. They make me feel good. You give me some John Hughes, and I'm all in. And so I'm watching Ferris Bueller.
English is my second language, and I always have so many ideas in my head, but I find it hard to organize and express them very clearly and concisely in English, and that's where Grammarly comes in. Using Grammarly has honestly been a game changer. Let me show you how I use my Grammarly as a content creator. First, there is the AI feature. I use this to brainstorm.
It's snowing outside. And all of a sudden I thought, what would happen if I took Ferris Bueller and replaced him with Trayvon Martin? What would happen to that story? And you know the story. This kid, he's like, he skips school, he impersonates a cop, he gets his friend, he steals a car, he's doing all of.
Anyway, that's it for a while. We can share it in the group and we can talk about it.
No. Finish that. Finish his thought off, because that was an interesting.
This mischief, we are rooting for it. We're rooting for it.
He's the coolest dude ever.
Right. He's literally singing Donkashay in a parade at a certain point. And so I'm like, if I were to imagine Trayvon doing that, he wouldn't make it out of the first frame. He wouldn't even get out of his house, let the culture stand, right? His mom would be like, no, you're going to school right now. Right. Movie over. And so I thought, why can't I have that film? Why can't I have that story in my life? And then I attempted to write it, and it failed within the first 10 pages. And so I was like, there's something in my way. And what came of it was this book.
Amir Baraka has a poem, and the refrain is, there's something in the way of things, right? And he just says this over and over again, like, there's something in the way of things.
Yes.
That was my softball question. Now it's time to get uncomfortable. It's time to make everyone else uncomfortable too.
Let's do it.
They know what they came to.
Okay, I just wanted to.
And if anybody knows me, they really know what they came to. One of the things that interested me is the way that they die. Mm-hmm. And also the they that we're talking about is every single white person. Is it in America?
Okay, I guess he was just answering the question that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So let it play.
Okay. I don't know what happened. What happened?
Did you just mute it? There it is.
Okay, so every single white person in America.
Yeah.
The way that they die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and also the they that we're talking about is every single white person. Is it in America?
Only in America.
Okay, so every single white person in America. The way that they die, the way that you choose for them to die, is that they all wake up one day and then they walk into the nearest body of water and they drown.
This is also important.
And I read it and I was like, word. And my question, and I do want to, even though I don't, actually no. My question to you is, why don't we right? And you can answer it as far as your sort of perspective, obviously, but why don't we, as Black artists, ever write violent deaths for white people? Ever. I think about John Grisham in A Time to Kill. John Grisham being a white man, writing about things he actually experienced, right, as a prosecutor, and how, like, in the book and in the movie, the scene in the movie that we all know so well with Samuel Jackson saying, "Yes, I killed him, and I hope he burns in hell," right? And how radical that actually is, because we actually never ever see a Black person murder a white person because they deserved it, right? A justified, like, vengeance, right? It never, we don't see it in our TV shows. We don't see it in movies. I tried to write it in a book and everybody was like, I don't know about this. This is a little violent. This, that, and third. Now, Kwame has done it in Friday Black. That might be the closest we've had over the last 20 years. And the first story, which you all should read, is called The Finkelstein Five. Please, it's in here somewhere. It's called Friday Black, the short story collection.
All right, well.
ChatGPT works best with detailed prompts.
Leave it.
But I hate typing them. So instead, I dictate.
He says the water. Yeah.
Yeah. He says what?
He says water. Why he let the people kill by themselves in the water? That's because of some kind of like towards like a kind of a justice system, or this is what he's explaining. He's going to reply if you want. Let's see.
But I won't lie. There is.
I will just skip it if I can.
And firstly, it was tactical. Is a tough thing. A lot to respond to in that. So, firstly, it was tactical.
Of course.
To have a whole bunch of dead bodies walking around or laying around is a tough thing to keep having to deal with, and so I needed an erasure, which is. I tried it. Don't get me wrong. I've read The Stand. I was like, we can do this, but it didn't work tactically because it kept pulling me out of that and worrying about bodies everywhere. So that's part of it. But also, you said comeuppance.
Yeah.
And while I honestly it resonates to some degree with me, I just don't think as my life and my mother and my brothers and my sisters, we don't desire it like that. What we desire is a state of equilibrium or freedom to move, but not necessarily a comeuppance. And that is to say, if I am going to murder the murderer, I become a murderer. And I don't think that's in my nature. I don't think it's in, even if I want it, it's not in my nature.
I don't know. I don't know. So let's talk about this. This is what this. When I say, I do.
All right, I guess we need to get.
Yeah, that's enough.
All things.
Yeah, let's move.
I think I have to allow myself to believe that I'm capable of all things in order to actually enact my own humanity, even if I don't actualize the terrible things.
Yep. Let me close this.
So what do you guys think about that?
I think I'd like to hear the rest of it. So if you post it,
I will do that.
It's pretty interesting. I will probably get a different outlook on the book, because really the first page, the first chapter, I was like, they all died. They all died from what? I was thinking until I got further into the book that they died from something, right? And maybe we will get to that point, but I'd really want to, it's pretty interesting to hear why he had them kill themselves like that,
Well, I think it's a what if. It's a what if book. Like it's and for me, I think this is interesting because lately, over the past several months, there have been a lot of Africans talking about this topic of whether Caucasians, the colonialists, left Africa too early. That's a new discussion that's going around in Africa, because I think it's really sparked by this one Black guy. I can't think of his name right now, and I can't think of this guy's name. I think he's from Ghana, but I might be wrong. But he's talking about like he makes the point that there's no in many African languages there's no word for maintenance. Like there's literally
Yep.
no word that is synonymous with maintenance
Right.
in many African languages. And that is
Yes.
one of the reasons why they couldn't maintain some of the systems that the colonialists left behind. Even though the
Right.
colonial left behind really, innovation,
Yeah,
they couldn't
decent
maintain it
systems.
because there's not a culture of maintenance in many African nations. So I think he started this about a couple months ago, and it's now has sparked a discussion on podcasts. I'm talking about from Africans, not African Americans, about whether white folks left too early. And believe it or not, there's a lot of Africans that said, well, they left too early. They should have given us a transition period and taught us how to maintain these systems so we're not in the current, when we say we, not me, but they're not in the current condition that they're in now in many African nations. So you look at what's going on in Rwanda, and it kind of makes sense because this is what Paul Kagame position has been for the last 10 years, right? Like we have to do for ourselves, we have to create systems, we can make things, and as a result, they have their own cars. I mean, Rwanda, not Rwanda, yeah, Rwanda is knocking it out of the park, right now with innovation because they're creating systems. And in this book, what is I can't think of the main character's name. What's the father's name? Um,
Charles? This one.
what's the father's name?
Charles?
Charles.
Yeah.
Charles keeps on talking about systems, like he's a
Yeah.
systems person.
Charles.
So he's a systems. He keeps on saying, "I'm a systems person. I'm a systems person," and it'd be interesting. And I'm with you, Dr. Mahassan. I want to listen to this link. I'm going to listen to the interview because I want to know if what is he what point is he really trying to make? Is he trying to make that we need to be like Rwanda? And we need to become systems people, right? Um, and I hopefully that's the crux of the book. The other point that I that I would like to mention is typically when Black people get together, we do this, as a Black man, this is my experience thing, as if all Black men have the same experience, and I think this is very dangerous because I grew up with that same notion coming out of Baltimore. And then when I went to this military school that was predominantly white, but there were Black cadets there, I noticed that I observed the difference. I observed the difference between the athletes who were Black, the Black cadets who were athletes, right? And then the Black cadets who were not athletes. And there was a complete difference. The Black cadets who were not athletes ended up or normally focus on being military officers, right? And the way they carried themselves, they still carried themselves as Black men, every last one of them, every last one of them. You couldn't call them a sellout. We like to use that word, sellout. You couldn't call them a sellout. They walked their head up with dignity, with pride as Black men, and especially during that time in the 90s, in this very white school, right? Confederacy white school, the only school in the United States to actually fight in a war, which was the Confederate with Civil War for the Confederacy, was my school, right? So to see these Black guys who weren't athletes, who who understood their Blackness, it was the first time I ever experienced that. And it broke me out of this is the Black man experience in America thing. So I always cringed a little bit because I can think of the Kendall Clark who took me under his wing when I was a sophomore. He was a senior. When I was sophomore, maybe no, when I was sophomore, he's a senior, or maybe he was a junior. I can't remember, but he took me under his wing, and there was other guys, Benjamin Venning, the class ahead of me, all these guys, Myers, these guys way mature, as 21-year-olds, extremely mature, extremely well put together. And this is the first time I saw a black 19-year-old or 20-year-old or 21-year-old who was like wiser than their years. You know what I mean? Very well put together, very well focused. And then I started to notice something. Every last one of them had a mom and a dad. Every last one of them had parents who were professionals, middle class, educated. It became a reoccurring theme. And then you looked at the black cadets who were athletes, all right, and there's nothing wrong with being an athlete, but maybe didn't have that. They weren't as focused. You see, what I'm not saying all the black cadets weren't focused. I'm not saying that. I mean, all the black athletes weren't focused. I'm not saying that. Many were, but a lot weren't, and a lot more got in trouble. And then you look at their history, they didn't have, they come from a single parent background, or they came from urban environments, or they maybe that one parent was she was wasn't middle class or educated, and so you start to see these reoccurring themes, and it made me realize that we don't all have the same experience. And it was interesting for me because I almost felt like Sydney, if that makes any sense, in that I'm this black guy. Now mind you, when I first went to the Virginia Military Institute, old Dr. Ray had a gold tooth in his mouth. Right here. Had a gold tooth. Coming from Baltimore, right? Just gold tooth in my mouth, right? Didn't know any better. Nobody told me, hey man, you about to go down there south, you better take that thing out your mouth, right? But I wasn't an athlete. I was there because I wanted to be a military officer. So everybody's trying to figure me out. Right? Not an athlete, but you got to go tooth in your mouth. Stylish. Every time I got, I was always stylish. I always had the hottest clothes on. You know what I mean? When we had a chance to wear our regular civilian clothes, and no one could quite figure me out. Is he one of us or is he one of them? Type of thing. And and I was stuck in the middle because no one really wanted to no one really wanted to put me on that team because I didn't fit in a box, right? Um, I went away for Thanksgiving break, went right to the dentist, had them take the gold tooth out of my mouth, not because of anything other than I realized I looked silly in it. Other than that, even if I went to a HBCU, I probably would have took it out of my mouth. Um, but um that was my conflict. And even when I was in the army, that was always my conflict because I'm this black kid with this Baltimore accent who at the time felt like he was a black nationalist. Right? I would play my rap music loud. It was Africa this, Africa that. But on the same token, I wanted to be, I believed in God, duty, and country, right? I wanted to be an infantry officer. I was doing all the cool army stuff, right? And the white people couldn't figure me out. Nobody could figure me out. So I felt like Sydney. So every time I hear, and even this book, this idea that we as black people are supposed to have this shared experience. What I'm going to tell you, Ben Venning didn't have that shared experience. And Ben Venning right now is a colonel in the United States Marine Corps, probably about to make general. Kendall Clark, my mentor, just made brigadier general. He made brigadier fast. I mean, he went up the chain of command quickly. Um, you know, these black guys, one black guy COO, Fortune 500 company, like they were well put together in 1993 when I first met them. Right? They were on the trajectory of being someone great in life, right? And they just followed through. And again, I always cringe a little bit when I hear us get together and go, well, as a black man in America, I feel like, there's always an eyeball looking at me. And I know where it's coming from. And I'm not saying that it's not justified, But again, not all black people feel that way, and it's not every black experience. I know black people who feel uncomfortable going to the hood. I always say my first tattoo came from Fort Benning, Georgia, and I went because when I enlisted before when I was in college, I enlisted so I could be a part of the SMP program because my thinking was I was thinking ahead. I can get time in service while I'm in college. So when I retire, I'll have 3 or 4 more extra year time of service. So I enlisted. Went and the summer of '94, I went down to Fort Benning, Georgia to infantry school, 13 weeks. And at 8 weeks, 8 week you get a break because the traditional soldier basic training is 8 weeks. If you're an infantry soldier, it's 13 weeks. So at 8 weeks, you get a 2 day break. The drill sergeant Nelson said, "Hey, look, nobody comes back. You better come back with a tattoo, right? Or the next 6 or 7 weeks is going to be hell." So everybody got a tattoo. And so I remember going into this uh, shop outside of Fort Benning, Georgia, motorcycle shop. You know, it looked like something off the Hollywood. I wasn't this little black kid who I was like, what, 19 years old at this time. Should not be in this motorcycle shop. White bearded guys, tattoos, and I got treated with nothing but love. And when I was in Lexington, Virginia, I got treated with nothing but love. And so I started to see that, hold on a second. This is not this is not what people say. I can walk in Lexington, Virginia. I can walk in like these back roads of Kentucky, these back roads of Georgia, and people, regardless of what color they are, ask, am I okay? Do I need anything? Do I want a cup of lemonade? But in my own neighborhood in Baltimore, Maryland, I gotta always look behind my back. And to this day, if I walk down North Avenue and Broadway, I would have to look at the brother coming across the street. I gotta what's his idea? What's his plan? Because there's a high probability. There's a high probability he's trying to jack me. He's trying to see if he can take me. You know what I mean? I remember growing up. I would never forget this. I was maybe 9 years old, and older kid. He may have been 11, 12. He said, "Ray, stop walking around smiling, man. You smile too much when you walk. You smile too much when you walk." And from that day, maybe until I was 30 years old, it was this. Every time you saw me, it was this. And a lot of people didn't, because I was at VMI like this. So that's another reason why people didn't know how to take me, because it was always like this. Because Baltimore taught me that if I'm like this, I'm less likely to be messed with. Right. And it wasn't until like women would walk up to me and say, "Please smile." Smile. It ain't that serious, young man. Smile, smile. And then and even every now and then I get people to say, "Hey, brother, you can smile. It's okay." Right. Because I grew up in a place where you can't trust the person who looks like you. Right. So when I hear black people get together and say, "Well, you know how it is to be a black man in America," I don't know what that means. At this point, as a 50-year-old man, I really don't know what that means, because all I see is the opposite in regards to when I'll say this and I'll shut up. I used to take black kids, and I think I said this before, from Baltimore down to VMI as a youth program to get them out of the hood. I said, if I can get them out of the hood for 1 or 2 days on a weekend, once a month, and I think I told you guys this before, and they would break their neck to go down with me. And these kids who were tough, in gangs, selling drugs, doing whatever, not going to school, they would pack the truck. They would be waiting for me. There was not one time where I had to wait for a kid or call a kid, "Are you coming?" They would all be waiting for me. And what I realized is they felt safe in these white areas. When I took them to places in Lexington, Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia, parts of North Carolina, they felt safe. So the reason why they wanted to pack their truck, because that was a moment of respite. That was 24 to 48 hours of respite for them where they didn't have to walk around like this. All right, I'll be quiet for now for this point forward.
All right. Yasmin, you go ahead. Yasmin, you there?
Just a moment, please. All of that Ray has just talked about, I'm waiting to see some of that in the book. Because right now, all that we see is everyone getting along, supporting each other, taking care of each other. But they say that element down south, oh, it's not a good place to be in. So one thing that I felt was not real was the kumbaya-ness of it all. Because yes, there are lots of good people in the world, good Black people that's going to help take care of everyone. But there are also, like Mr. Ray was saying, Dr. Ray was saying, the bad element, like you don't feel safe. So I'm ready to see some of that part of the book. And another thing that just really upset me was the scene when Charles was being accused of rape. That really upset me. And like Ray had said, that doesn't really happen in this day and time now. But it really is, because a lot of things, like the race relations, are going back. Like with this MAGA generation now, a lot of these old ideas and way of treating Blacks and others are coming back. So yes, I can totally see that scene happening of Charles being accused of rape, like the brother coming in and can't fathom his sister wants to be with a Black man and accusing him of rape. And so in the chat, I made a comment about it, but then I deleted it. I said, no, I can't say that right now because if some people might not have gotten to that part in the book yet, so I deleted my comment. But this was what I wanted to say that really upset me.
From being down south, yeah, I mean, don't you think it should be the other way around? I would think the South would be the friendlier, and that the anarchy would be in the North. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like
Am I
more
off base?
nature.
Am I off base on that?
No, no, you are right. Because people who are in the shores or the sea line. Yeah, go ahead, Jasmine.
I was gonna say there's a big criminal element in the South. It's some hardcore elements.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
Southerners are really friendly. Yes, we are really
yeah,
friendly.
yeah.
But on the other hand, there are some that are really not.
To the point, yeah,
When
okay,
when
yeah.
when when you're talking about Yasmin is going. When you're talking about South, I mean, you're talking about which states, like Florida or
No, I don't. Actually, I don't even consider Florida the South. Florida's
mm,
totally different to
yeah,
me. It's the South, but it's a totally different like culture. We're talking about
right,
like Alabama, Mississippi, North Kakalaki, South Kakalaki, Louisiana. Would you agree, Yasmin? Florida's the South, but it's a different culture, right?
right, yeah,
What about Dr. Mahasan? Do you agree with that? Florida's the South, but it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah, kind of. And then, Florida has a lot of folks that have come from so many different places. So it's not as south as we would experience, I guess, in the Carolinas or like you said, in Alabama. Even, Florida's sort of like its own place, like DC, like Atlanta, pretty much, you know. Even Atlanta is not south for me, you know, whenever I'm there. But it's totally different from when I'm in North Carolina or South Carolina or Alabama, any of those places I've been to. Total, it's like a whole nother culture.
Right. And yeah,
Rena,
definitely.
would you like to add your comments to the book?
Me? You say me or
Sabrina.
Sabrina? Oh, okay.
Sabrina. I don't know if she's there or not. Okay, Dr. Mahasin, you go ahead.
I think I'm kind of like with Yasmin. I although she didn't accuse him of rape, she certainly didn't protect him, right? And she couldn't protect him probably because of whatever would have happened to her from her brothers, right? There's a scene, I think, in the movie with what's the Dr. Ray, the black gangster, Bumpy, whatever his
Bobby
name
Johnson.
is.
Yeah.
He comes into the room and there's a young black boy with a young white girl, but her father is a gangster. And the girl says she loves this black guy. And then he goes to say her father will kill her, knowing that she's sleeping with a black boy. He'll kill her boy, definitely, but he'll kill his daughter too. And she could have been in that kind of situation where she had no choice but to just be quiet. I'm not excusing her and I'm not, you know, saying what she did was right. Definitely what she did was wrong. But those situations happen. I'd rather say I was raped than to say I was with a black man. In this case, her brother said it, right? And perhaps it was the only way that he ended up staying alive and she ended up staying alive. So I was really like Yasmin said, that kind of disturbed me a bit that she couldn't defend him or wouldn't defend him. We don't know yet till it gets a little deeper into the story. Other than that, I'm just really looking at what's going on. Like I still don't understand, and I guess we will understand more when we look at the video. Why did they choose to drown themselves? Why did he choose to drown them? I and
I'm so sorry, but in that interview, he did say he chose to drown them so that they wouldn't have to be looking at
be
the
all
body.
over the
It was a
place.
clean
Right.
way. So,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's clever. That's
Yeah.
clever.
And
But
my
then you got another. But you
No,
got
he
another problem
meant,
there.
what he
But
meant
you have
was by the bodies. What he
The
meant was
water
the
yeah, he meant was
bodies.
sources
bodies all over the place throughout the
yeah, but
story.
you got another problem though. Now you got dead bodies in the water
in the
source.
water.
So
Yeah, I mean, like,
I guess we're gonna figure out what happens to that.
Like
But
that's why
what
I
I
say.
was cons-
That's why I said I don't think he thought it through. Like
yeah,
I
but
he
rather him
just,
have. I didn't think he thought it through because
but
you got
then
all these dead body and water sources.
yeah, but
yeah.
then we get to the
And
point where Sydney says her it's her mom that leaves the letter that says we're not all dead, we're in another part of the states
That's
for her
not
to
aunt.
mom, not mom,
Her aunt.
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 her aunt
Her
says that we're
father's
not all
sister.
dead, we're in another part. Like, and I'm like, okay, why?
But
Why are they?
we haven't reached to that
Yeah, we
point
haven't
where
Yeah,
reached some.
but no, but you make a good point. Why do you feel the need to do that? And if that was the case, why don't you just take her and go?
Yeah.
Like I don't get it.
Or it could be a case of that she was passing
Well, we know she was
because
no,
we
no,
struggling
know
with
it.
she's
being
If
not
you got
special.
passing.
black
She's
people,
not
the
passing.
black
She
people
That's the
was
help
first
you
thing.
up
struggling being
here.
special.
No,
That's
she's
what I
not
thought.
passing.
That's what. No. The aunt may be passing. That's
Yes.
why the aunt
Mm-hmm.
died. So
Mm-hmm.
that might be something
Oh,
so he might be making this idea that a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people think they're white, but they're not really white. So that might
Yes.
be his.
This
ah,
this
But if the
yes.
passing
aunt would be,
community.
but if the aunt would be passing for being white, then what about her father, the stepfather?
No, the stepfather's white.
Yeah,
Stepfather's
Stepfather
that's
has
white
what
though.
I'm
stepfather's
saying. Because the stepfather and the sister, that's what this aunt is from. I mean, is where from.
But that doesn't
it's
mean
from the
that
stepfather. It's from
From
the
the
stepfather.
father. Yeah,
No,
no,
no, the aunt is
it's
from her
the
brother, from her
brother,
mother's brother.
her mother's brother.
The one who accused Charles of
Hmm.
raping her mother.
Hmm.
Remember, he saw the
Because
picture and he said,
there was
"Who is
something like
that?"
AW, like
He asked, remember when he came in, he said, "Whose picture is
yeah.
that?" And she said, "That's my uncle." And he remembered that that was one of the brothers.
Oh,
Yeah,
AW is the aunt's initials.
the aunt's initials, right?
yeah. So the W is whatever the family name of.
Yeah,
I
Wagner
thought it was the
something.
father's.
Wagner, something like that. Yeah.
Wagner. So Wagner is the
Yeah,
family name of the father. That's how I got it. The family name of the father.
No, that's the
No,
family
that's
name of the mother.
the girl's
Okay.
name.
Yeah, the girl was famous by the name of whatever, Elizabeth Wagner.
the
yeah, she's taking
mother,
on the mother's name, not the stepfather's
not
name.
the
Okay.
stepfather's name.
She's not taking the
All right.
stepfather's name.
And they're
The
at the
boys have a
No,
grandmother's
no.
house. So that's why Wagner was on the
On the
Yeah, the
door.
outside.
on the
Yeah,
door
yeah.
Yeah,
because
this
it's
is my
not the
grandmother's house.
stepfather's home, it's the
Yeah, this is
grandmother's,
my
her
grandmother's
mother's
house.
mother's.
Yes, yeah.
Her mother, yeah, her mother and the uncle's mother. Yeah,
And the
yeah.
other, again, I think it's a lot of holes. Like when he meets Skipper, what's the Skipper, the pilot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was corny, and that was corny. that, that was corny because Skipper goes, "Well, I enlisted in the Air Force and I flew all types of." If you enlisted in the Air Force, you're not flying planes. Like, you might be the mechanic, but you're not flying planes. I flew all types of planes. I was like, this guy didn't do his homework at all. Like, that's a basic thing that you could find out. Like, you have to go and be an officer in the Air Force. Like in the
Commissioned
Army,
officer.
in
Yeah,
in the
commissioned
Army,
officer.
yes. In the Army, you could be enlisted and fly helicopters. This is true, but it takes a while to do that. Like you
Yeah.
have to be like a senior enlisted or a warrant officer, what we call a warrant officer. But in the Air Force, everyone who's flying anything in the Air Force went to college, basically, and
Yeah.
got commissioned.
Yeah.
So
The
I just thought
commissioned
that
officers.
was kind of like, okay, man, you're not doing your homework. Like it takes a second to figure that one out, and you're just not doing your homework. But
This book was written in 2024, so it's like pretty much new book, and
yeah,
they are making a movie, I think, or they already made a movie on that.
it better not be Tubi.
Yeah, yeah. Even I shared in the group the trailer of the movie.
Listen, again, I'm not going to judge the book. We're only 12 chapters in.
Yeah.
And it's, listen, I think the writing itself is good. It's entertaining. The writing is entertaining, very entertaining. I like Sydney because I think Sydney is expressing very real emotions. I like the
She's
fact that she's
brave,
taking,
and especially
she's
she's
19.
into it.
Like she was about to pop that kid. She was about to pop that kid. And
Yeah, I
that's a
mean,
real thing,
I mean, like she's thinking that she's the lone survivor now in the family. So she has to take up all the kind of burden of her grandmother, mother, grandmother, grandmother's grandmother, and all that, those kind of traditions and whatever.
Which leads to another point of what is your allegiance to your skin color, or is your allegiance to relationships? Because a lot of times, and I don't think it's just a black thing, right? Because in prison we know it's skin color and that's it, right? In prison, right? But this idea that if you are black, your allegiance is to other black people, point blank. Forget what your relationships are. Forget, and I think that's a point that the author is addressing, whether he knows it or not. That this is a major thing because we have this thing in the African American community that there's an allegiance to us. Like you must have allegiance to your skin color. Like, hold on a second. No, that's a lot of other people I have allegiance to before you, brother. And I don't know you for the man in the moon, right? But so that's being addressed in the book, and I find that interesting. And I want to see where he goes with this. I'm definitely curious about Alabama, and there's a king in Alabama. There's a king. Like, what is this about?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, how did that happen? So, who's the king?
Like I tell you, these Southerners, we are new different breed.
Sabrina, would you have to add something? Would you like to add something?
She's there. She messaged and says she's there.
Yeah.
And your mic's not working, Sabrina? Because I want to know as I want to get Sabrina's
Sabrina says she's still here, and apparently not. Her
not.
mic is not working.
because I want to get her point of view as because Sabrina's from, where are you from, Sabrina? You're from Jamaica, right? Jamaica?
No, she's from
Guyana.
Guyana.
So I want to know, like, because that's a different perspective too, and that's an important perspective. Like, where do you see this whole thing, like, from that, coming from that cultural perspective, which is different than an African American perspective? But I guess we'll figure out next week when we fix when you get your your mic working next week.
All right. Yeah. All right. I mean, at the moment, it's too early, as you said, probably 12 chapters, and it's like story is building up, and you would find the most interesting answer to the question that why she didn't protect or didn't I mean, in that sense that we say that she didn't protect Charles. So that's as Dr. Marsden said, and probably that's the reason that both of them were alive. And for me, the third important part is that because of that, um, Sydney is alive. Sydney is alive, or Sydney is like conceived and alive, and that's why she said special that special to that child. I mean, Sydney's mom, Elizabeth, she always told her, "You are special, you are special." So probably some of the good character of her father, she was trying to see that they are there. So, Sabrina has written something.
Sabrina, yeah, Sabrina. This is why you need to go Android, PC, Android and PC. Okay, stop this Apple nonsense. Android and PC. Okay. Okay, I got all my gears working.
You got trouble. You always like trouble, Dr. Ray. You like trouble.
I don't have any trouble. I have trouble.
No, I don't. I
Come to
don't.
the
I don't
dark
like it.
side. Come
No,
to
no.
the dark side.
Come to the dark side.
Yeah, but
Come
I
to
don't
the
like
dark side.
I don't like anything of the iPad for another technical reasons, that they want to have the monopoly of whatever the development they are doing. So even for years and years, everything was closed, and still like it is very much controlled. All right, guys. So see you next week with
So where are we? I want to
reading.
hear Bridget's perspective on this. This is going to be crazy.
Probably she has already read the whole book, because that's why she's
Yeah.
shying away, and she might be listening to us right now
Yeah, she's
through
going to be listening. I know
faith.
she's going to watch the video. How many pages are we
We
reading
would
now?
read up to like around 160, 70. I will put it into that chat. We'll see, because that we would make it like three weeks book. Totally around 260 pages were there.
Oh, it's only two. Oh, we're reading some quick reads lately.
Yeah, we are just doing 80 pages rather than just 50, 60. And so it's giving chance to everyone to bring up his or her book.
All right.
And Bridget
right.
did put she put some of her comments in the chat.
Yeah, I got to
You mean
read
Sabrina?
No,
Bridget.
Bridget.
Yeah, she put it in the chat. She wrote some comments about each chapter and some favorite
She said she
quotes.
giving the book a 5. She said, take my 5 rating now.
Yeah, she's reached. That's what I was saying. She has reached to the end of the book. That's why she rated it 5.
You
So
think
that's
you
why
think
she's
she got to
shying
the
away.
end? I don't think she got to the end.
That's how then she rated it. How she rated it to 5.
What you see about her, that's who she is.
Yeah, because
Believe me.
she just likes it. She just knows this is
that's
it.
just her. Yeah.
All right.
Important note, Hannah, if you're watching this, I'm taking note that you're not in this meeting. Okay. Okay. People sent through your book. Join us. Stop it. Stop it now. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So put it in the chat. Because I go by your
Yeah.
I go by that. I rely on that. So
All right.
Yeah,
all
me
right.
too. The poll thing, it really helps
Oh.
me to say, okay, how many pages do I need to read today, the next day, so that I'm reading up to Monday night, getting ready for Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
All
All right. So I
right.
guess next week.
See
Yep.
you all next week.
Thank
God
you.
willing.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Assalamu alaikum and good night, everybody. Oh yeah, for us, everybody is good night on this side of town.
Oh, and I want to say one more thing, real quick. There's opportunities for editing now because a lot of Q1, Q2, and Q3 journals they're
Ah,
not accepting Grammarly anymore. So Grammarly for
really?
editing, yes. So now I've gotten approached by several people that ask me. One colleague is putting me in the third position or the last position on the paper, which is prestigious, to rewrite their paper for them because they got rejected because of Grammarly. So a lot of Q1. So there's going to be some editing opportunities. So you're going to be shooting out. So be on the lookout for those
Okay.
editing. All right.
Yeah, don't worry.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend. A good
You too.
weekend into the